Dave Smith is a druid. His holy space is the woods in the early days of spring. His means of worship, his music and his harp.
Is a fairy instrument. You've only got to listen to it and it speaks to you when the wind blows through the strings and it plays on its own with the air. It just completely blows my mind. And to take it into a woods and just sit there within the forest, maybe beside a stream or a stone or whatever, leaning against a tree and just playing that instrument. The old races of this earth gave human beings the harp, and whenever we play the harp, they listen.
The pagan paths of witchcraft, shamanism and druidry all have their own subtle denominations. To worship the Norse gods, you can call yourself a heathen or follow the northern tradition. You can join Odenhof or the Rune Guild or the Ring of Troth. On this Kent hillside in April, it's the Odinic rite. The Viking pantheon is large and is divided into two groups. The Aesir, the divine ancestors, and the Vanir, the gods of the land. Chief among them all is Odin.
Talking of Odin, Odin the man who took on that name, we even know this man. His name was Siggy Fridolfsson. Now, what this man did, he was a shaman character. He sacrificed himself. He hung in a windswept tree for 9 days and 9 nights, almost to the point of death, without food or drink. He looked down as he was about to die and perceived the runes, took up the runes. This is how the legends go. Now that man became such a wise being. He sacrificed himself to himself in order to find that creative force, that power which gives life to all life, that God source.
It can be traced back to what are now called the Germanic peoples of North Europe. Obviously, in the various folk wanderings, the invasions of the various lands, Great Britain, obviously England, it came with them. It came with these people who are our ancestors, and we are them. We're of their flesh, we're of their bone, we're of their spirit.
We have come again in honour and love of our gods. We ask them to be with us. We have come again in honour and respect for those who dwell here, the sprites, the Urgeists, the landwights, the earth itself. We ask these to draw with us.
I think respect is one of the key words for being an Odinist. Respect the needs of people, respect the needs of the land. And it puts this sort of balance And that's what our life is all about.
Respect for the elder folk, respect for children. I'm quite envious of the culture in some other countries that haven't lost that respect for the elder folk and for the kids. We need to get our people back on track.
And with the land. I mean, the land is very important, because the land is not a ball of mud, as has been taught or imposed upon us by a faith which was not our own. The land itself is a living entity. It is our mother. It nurtures us. It's something which also helps root a people, a person.
Our attitude is very similar to the Native American attitude.
Yeah, it is.
That you cannot own this wonderful world outside. You cannot own parts of the landscape. But we are part of it. We must relate to it and be in harmony with it and not dominate it.
Paganism's inherent sense of ecology runs deep within each of its traditions. The human is inseparable from the natural world.
What marks paganism as a spirituality, what identifies the centre, the heart of paganism, is the celebration of our life in the world. We are part of the world, we live in the earth. We, as human people, are not separate observers, as if we were coming from the outside, as if we were alien beings.
Modern pagans, by contrast, are living in a world which human beings have taken over almost completely and are damaging quite seriously. Nature is something that's threatened, it's vulnerable. And so modern paganism, instead of the principle of sacrifice, has the principle of consecration. Instead of trying to propitiate nature, to soothe it, to buy it off, people are trying to nurture it, to relate to it, to become one with it again, to reconnect us to the natural world and to our own imaginations.
It is this connection with nature that is celebrated by the 8 major pagan festivals that mark the wheel of the year. The wheel has turned to the 1st of May and the festival of Beltane. At the Long Man of Wilmington in East Sussex, Dave Smith and other members of the British Druid Order pick their way through the Ramblers to celebrate the prospect of summer.
The only path I would have found would be one that gave me freedom of will and that allowed me to worship outside. The things that speak to me are the rivers and springs and the mountains and hills and valleys, blah, blah, blah. Not human beings, not go-betweens. And other than paganism, I can't think of anything else that gives me that freedom.
Do we have any others who would give gifts or receive blessings from the guardian of this place?
Thank you for the flowers.
Druidry for us, in the way that we practice it, could be summed up in the search for inspiration.
Our ancestors and our descendants, hail the spirit of this place.
Part of that is honouring the gods of our ancestors, honouring our ancestors, and honouring the land, and weaving those together. But to define what a druid is, as druidry is an enormous spectrum of belief, is almost impossible. One has to do it by describing one's own druidry.
Yes, there are about 8,000 people in Britain who've been initiated into one or other druid order, and that means that there are 8,000 different ideas of what druidry is.
The festival of Beltane marks the mythological marriage of the goddess and the god. It is also a traditional time for mortals to get married. This year, Beltane marks a special day for Kate West and Steve Paine.
One of the things about hand fasting that differs quite widely from the wedding ceremonies reflected in other religions is that the people who join have a choice of 3 options. They can choose to join for a year and a day, or they can choose to join for a lifetime, or they can choose to make a karmic link which in theory is for eternity. In Kate and my case, I think, well, I shouldn't really say, but we have decided to make the karmic link.
I do offer you all that I am, body, mind and soul. In bright days and dark days, in good times and bad. As the wheel turns ever on, we shall mark the time of the seasons together. May the spirit of our love know no boundaries. Life after life, time after time. From this day forth, so mote it be.
Beloved, to me you are the sun, Lord of fire and light, whose presence breathes hope and life unto the land. You are the Lord of darkness, who opens the ways to light. You are my light and dark, day and night, life and death. I embrace you and take you to my hand, at the setting of the sun and at the rising of the stars, in this life and in those to come. As I do will, so mote it be. Blessed be.
Blessed be.